because I do pride myself in being incredibly independent.
Agree.
And slowly I've started to realize that it actually is a toxic trait also.
There was like two things, right? The first one was I'm so used to doing things on my own, so there was like, no, I don't need you to do it. Like, I got it. And then the second thing was why you really want to help me?
Yeah, I felt
like,
weird.
Are you sure?
Welcome to the Limitless tribe, where two badass women build businesses, chase dreams, and keep it way too real. I'm Kat.
And I'm Mel. We're the founders of Powerhouse Admins and the Limitless tribe, and we're inviting you into the messy middle, the mindset shifts, and the CEO glow-ups we never see coming.
Now let's get into it.
So today's episode is on what emotional independence actually looks like. So emotional independence does not mean shutting people out, and it doesn't mean not needing anyone. It's actually the opposite. It means you can self-regulate your emotions, and you don't have to outsource your worthiness or your safety or your identity. You choose partnerships out of wholeness and not out of lack. And you can deeply love someone without needing them to complete you. So it's more about being able to self-regulate your emotions and being able to control them and not, have outbursts and be upset for long periods of time if something is like triggering you or bothering you. And also making sure that you don't always have to do everything on your own, that you can depend on other people to help you and to, help support you.
Yes, absolutely. So there's two that I know of, or that I think of, types of like that dependence, right? It could be emotional, where you need them to feel a certain way. Like, you're not happy unless you're with them. Mm-hmm. If they're not there, you're bored. Like, your feelings and thoughts and everything is like dependent on this other person. And then it can be financial, and it can be also just like that interdependence where you become so hyper independent that you never ask for help with anything in life, right? So you don't want to be to that extreme, but you also don't want to be where you can't handle anything in your life without this person doing it for you. So I think those are the kind of like the different categories we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. So emotional independence creates healthier, safer relationships. And it's not something that's supposed to distance you from someone else.
Yeah. I think if anything, it's actually going to bring you closer together, because you just have more to offer, and that person can relax a bit, not having to be everything for you. You're able to get closer to them. So emotional independence, sometimes people confuse it with being like avoidant or putting up walls and having that hyper independence where you don't need anybody and not asking for help so much that it's uncomfortable to ask for help, right? So those aren't necessarily, that's kind of the other spectrum, like I was saying, right? You could be too dependent, but you can also be a little bit too independent, right? Which was a crazy thought for me before, because I do pride myself in being incredibly independent.
Agree.
And slowly I've started to realize that it actually is a toxic trait also. So it's the extremes, right? Those are just protection strategies. They're not really the maturity that you're really looking for. So if you pride yourself on not needing anybody, like I have for a very, very long time, I know Mel too.
Yes.
That's not really true independence, right? You're actually self-abandoning, and you're disguising it as a strength. Like, we use it like almost like a badge of armor, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's prideful.
Yeah. And it's hard to put down.
I can do this all on my own. I don't need anyone to help me.
Yes.
And
before I got with my husband, I listened to like a lot of podcasts, and there's this guy named Matthew Hussey. Have you heard of him?
Yes.
And he mentions things, and sometimes they trigger me. Like, sometimes they're awesome, but sometimes I'm like, why do I have to fix so many things? Or why are you telling me so many things I need to do differently? And then one of them was this girl, I'll never forget it. It was like a conference, and it was just a clip of it. And she was saying that she's this very independent woman, and she has her life together, and she had a career and this and that, and her money was good, and she was calm, and she doesn't need anybody, and then she only attracts like bums. Like really like broke guys and nothing going on.
She doesn't need anybody.
And he explained it in a way that I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And it's still like something I work on, but like it's not changing that you don't need them, but you don't have to come with that energy, because it's nice to be needed, right? And people want to be able to contribute to you. And even like at work, it's like delegating, like it's all going to get better through opening up a bit, but it's a different energy when you ask for help because you trust this person.
Yes.
Versus needing them. You know, it's not an obligation. It's just a different like energy.
Yeah. When I first started, when we got married, because up until then I always did everything on my own. Like I was very independent. So before I got with Paul, very independent. While I was with Paul in the beginning, very independent. I did everything on my own, ran all my own errands, you know, anything that needed to be done. I was constantly running around doing things. And then we got married and stuff, and he would ask me like, oh, do you want me to go do that? Because he would see that I had like a million things on my to-do list to do, and I'm running from here to there to go pick up this person and then drop this off and go get this. And he's like, do you need help? And I'm like, no, I got this. I can do this. I got this.
For me, it felt like a little weird. Like
it was.
Like,
I didn't
want a trick. Like, is this a trap? Like, do you want to though? Like, do you really want to?
That was the other thing. So I think it was like two things, right? The first one was I'm so used to doing things on my own, so there was like, no, I don't need you to do it. Like, I got it. And then the second thing was why you really want to help me?
Yeah, I felt
like,
weird.
Are you sure? You know, and I thought it was like him just being polite and asking. And then he was the one that said, you know, you do a lot for everyone, and I see you always running around, and I want to help you. Like, I'm here for you. What do you need? And I gave him that one thing to do. I was like, I was like, oh, let's see. Okay, can you go do this? And he did it for me. And then the more I started doing that, I was like, oh, I could do this. This feels good. Yes. And it became more of, you know, it's a support, it's a help. It's not that I can't do it. I can do it if I need to do it, right, by myself. I can run around and I can do all the things and get all the things on my to-do list done, but I don't need to do that. Yeah. Right? I have someone that can help me go through these things in my life and that can support me on it, and it's not a bad thing. It is a good thing. And he actually felt good about it too, because he's like, I want to help you. And now he would even tell me like, okay, at the end of the day, we have more time to now relax and have our time. Yeah. Because before I was running around, now I'm not getting home till 10 to then just go to sleep because I have to wake up at 4 in the morning. And he's like, well, there goes any time I had with you. Yeah. You know, so it's actually a good thing for both. Yeah. So, you know, figure out where you are on the spectrum, right? Yeah. Are you over independent, or are you like dependent on someone else to make you feel a certain way, to make you act a certain way? Yes. And then it's about self-regulating, which we're going to, talk about that today, to kind of get to that emotionally like healed version of yourself that is the most you and the most attractive. Yeah. So with emotional stuff. Yeah. So why do triggers show up in relationships, right? So we're going to talk about triggers and relationships and wounds. So relationships don't create wounds. They just activate them. So if you have those wounds already from previous relationships or previous traumas, anything that's going to happen in this new relationship that you're in is going to be activated once that trigger comes. So triggers in relationships, they often come from fear of abandonment, fear of losing yourself, fear of being controlled, not being chosen. So if your nervous system isn't regulated and it's dysregulated, you'll look to your partner to regulate it for you, which is not healthy. You don't want someone else to actually have to regulate your nervous system, because then you're going to depend on them for everything. Yeah. And then when they're not in a good mood and they're not happy or something's going on, you're going to be all over the place because you can't self-soothe or you can't self-control your emotions. So that's where emotional dependency really begins. Yeah, we talked in the last episode about some of those triggers. So for example, like people that have been cheated on often, and you mentioned an example of that. Yeah. If you bring that baggage, right, and you don't heal those triggers, you're emotionally immature, right? So then now you're creating this relationship based from those fears, and now there might have to be so much rules, or you can't go out with a friend ever, or there is no alone time, or you're checking phones, or like there's so much stuff going on because you're dependent on them to be a certain way for you to feel like okay with that. Yes. So if you're able to heal that and determine, is this a situation where I'm safe,
or is it something you need to worry about? And if it is, then you shouldn't be there. And most likely, if you vetted the person, then it's more of a trigger than a situation you actually need to worry about. And you can regulate to a point where you realize, I trust this person. I think they're going to do the right thing. And even if they didn't, I will be okay.
Yeah, you don't want someone else to constantly be in control of your emotions and your feelings, because it's just not healthy, number one. And anytime something happens, I couldn't imagine a life where I'm just all over the place and up and down, because people have bad days, and now you had a bad day, so now I'm having a bad day automatically. That's just not the way I would want to live my life.
Yeah. No, and it's so many areas. Some people, I think, self-worth is like a huge one. Mm-hmm. If you only feel worthy when you're chosen by someone and you're in a relationship, then that's the most unsafe you could be.
Yeah.
Because now you're picking people out of need to fill that hole that you have. And usually they're not the best quality people. So you're putting yourself more at risk by doing that. But if you're able to kind of self-regulate and self-realize that you are already worthy as is, independent of anyone or anything else, then when those situations come, they don't rattle you as much.
I know when I first got into my relationship with Paul, I thought that I had worked on a lot of things, like, in the couple months that I was alone.
Just a couple months.
I was like, I worked on a lot of things. I'm in therapy. I did a lot. It's all good. We're healthy. We're happy. We're moving forward. And then we were dating, and he would turn his phone over.
Okay.
And that would irritate the crap out of me, because I would be like, what's in there?
And that's exactly the triggers, because I don't have that, because I didn't have that experience you had.
Yeah, because in my past, obviously they were hiding stuff, and there were things that, they didn't want me to know and I wasn't supposed to see. So he would always turn his phone over so that if a message came up or an alert or something, or somebody was calling, I wouldn't see who it was. So in the beginning, Paul, we would be at dinner, phone over. We would be in the house, phone over. And I was like...
I'm like, that does nothing to me.
Oh my goodness. And at first, I didn't want to say anything, but I would have an attitude. So then he'd be like, what's wrong? And I'd be like, nothing. And then finally I was like, it's the phone. Why is your phone over? Why is your phone over? Why is the screen not up? And he was very thank God I have a patient man as a husband. He was very patient with me, and he was like, there's nothing there. And he would turn it, and he's like, I don't know, I just put it whichever way. I have no problem turning it back up. I started talking to my therapist about this. I was like, this is a problem.
Some people do it for the opposite reason. They feel like...
Yeah, they don't want to... they don't want to interrupt or distract against whatever you guys are talking about or anything like that, right? Correct, they want to give you their full attention.
Yeah.
So started talking about this to my therapist, hey, I don't want this to ruin my relationship, but there's some here. And we dug into it, and then I did some journaling about it and stuff like that, and I realized, he is a very trustworthy man. I didn't think that he wasn't, which was the weird thing, right?
Well, I think it's
it would trigger me.
Yeah.
It would trigger me because of my past, but it wasn't because I thought that he was doing anything wrong, because I never have thought that he was doing anything wrong. So got over it, and now he can have his phone any which way he wants, and we're okay. But the beginning was a little not so great.
Yeah. With that, you would have to know your person.
Yeah.
Because it's not really about the phone, because the phone being down could be a bad thing, coming from the wrong person.
Exactly.
It just would depend on the person that you're dealing with. The phone thing, it doesn't actually mean anything. It's just who's doing that and the actions that they normally do.
That's why it would bother me too. I think I would get bothered by two things, right? So I was triggered by the action, but then I was bothered that it was bothering me, because I was like, I know him and I know nothing's there. So why is this bothering me so much? Very patient man.
That's so funny.
I don't know how he married me. Sometimes I wonder.
The phone thing too, I think you shouldn't have to be checking phones.
Yeah.
And if you have to check regularly, either there's something wrong with the relationship and there is a distrust that you shouldn't be in, or this is a trigger for you and you need to heal that trigger.
Definitely. Like I've never checked Paul's phone. Let's just be clear about this. Never. I don't even know his password. I could care.
Oh, I know his password, but
care less. Like I'll ask him, like if I need to use his phone for something, I'll be like, babe, what's your password again? And I remember one of my girlfriends, she was like, you don't know it? And I was like, forget it. Like it's not something that's stuck in my head. I never look in his phone. But yeah, he has no problem. Like if I needed it for something, he just hands it to me because there is that trust.
There wouldn't be like scared, like if you use it playing a game, like, or
don't. You know, when someone like rips it from your hands, you're like, oh,
exactly.
That's something to worry about.
Yeah, I know it because it's impossible to forget. It's a very easy thing, but
share it.
No, just kidding. But very easy, like you just could not forget it. But yeah, I don't ever feel the need to look in there, and if I started to feel the need, then I would know that there's a problem, you know. So dependence versus independence. So people that are dependent are saying, I need this person to feel okay, right? Dependent. If you're hyper dependent, now you're like, I don't need anybody. You put up walls because you don't need anybody. You don't allow anybody in. Interdependence says, I am whole on my own and I choose to be with this person. That's the balance. So healthy relationships live in interdependence as much as possible. We're all kind of broken people healing different pieces of ourselves. So we're probably not going to be perfectly interdependent all the time, but we spend more time there and we're working towards getting more interdependent when it comes to emotions, when it comes to, actual independence. So if you have two regulated people that are choosing connection, that are choosing to heal themselves, they're going to choose to be together instead of being clingy and having to need that person no matter what's happening in this relationship.
Yeah, so this goes back to like that whole, if your significant other is in a bad mood and you don't know why, like they're just upset that day or they seem down and you are like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And now that's affecting your mood. And now you're down and you're worried and you have anxiety because this person isn't their normal, typical self.
Yeah.
That is not healthy. And that would be that dependence.
And, everybody has bad days and everybody should be allowed to. But when the other person depends so much on your energy, that's when you have like those scenarios, Sometimes you just have to give the person space and know that they're having a bad day and just sit in it with them,
Exactly. So what emotional independence looks like in practice? Emotionally independent people, they don't react. They pause first, and then they think about what they're feeling and what's going on, and then they react that way. They communicate instead of accusing. So that's a big one. You don't just want to scream at someone or get that, negative attitude or be like, something, upset about something when not communicating, about it first. And they self-soothe instead of spiral. They take responsibility for their triggers, so they understand when something triggers them, why, and they work on that instead of just letting it go or not even realizing what the trigger is because they've never looked into it or they've never, taken responsibility for it. And they ask for support without collapsing. So everything doesn't, have to fall on their shoulders, and they can have someone else help them out. So your partner can support you, but they're not there to be your regulation system or support or responsible for regulating your system. Your partner is there to just be with you and for you guys to be aligned and to, be healthy together. They're not there to manage how you feel every second of every day.
Yeah. And think of how exhausting that sounds.
Oh, I know.
Like, how much we deal with our own emotions and our own thoughts and our own things. Can you imagine having to be responsible for somebody else's everything?
If I had to be responsible for all the things in Paul's head, I don't know how much is in there, but in mine, it's already
facts.
I could not. I would be in bed all day.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to even get out.
And it's exhausting. And then I think it's more of like a caretaker role. That's not sexy.
Yeah.
So it's not attractive to be in that situation.
I agree.
So why is this going to help you, right? It's going to actually deepen the connection, the love that you have with that person. You're going to stop outsourcing. Think of it like that. Like outsourcing your self-worth, your emotional safety, your livelihood in some cases to anybody else, right? You're going to show up calmer. You're going to argue cleaner. I like about that is how people say, like, it's not you against me, it's us against the problem.
Yes.
So when you take away like that emotional piece of it and making it mean something against you, you can just think about what the problem is and work with that person to move forward. Like, you both want to get to that solution. You're going to love without fear. You're going to stop testing people because you're going to be able to trust more and know that nothing changes with you with whatever outcome comes from that, right? From being with that person. So there's no testing necessary. You're going to stop chasing reassurance, and you're just going to feel the most authentic version of yourself. And without knowing, being that most authentic version of yourself, you're going to be the most attractive to the people that are looking for that. Like, you're going to be more, I don't know, like more visible, more out there, more interesting. More people are going to want to connect with you when you're your own whole version of yourself.
Yeah, I think it puts like I think we talked about it before in this, like, the single girl maybe podcast, where whenever you're whole by yourself, there's like a spotlight on you.
Yeah, like
that makes you vibrant.
Yes.
You're like like a magnet to other people, other things, just good stuff in the world. Everything is attracted to you. And that's really where you want to be.
Yeah. So emotional independence isn't going to push love away. It's actually going to make space for a secure, grounded love that's going to be able to grow.
So how do you build emotional independence, right? Emotional independence is built through self-awareness. So you have to be aware of your triggers. You have to be aware of things in your life that you feel, do I rely too much on myself? Am I too dependent on myself? Am I not allowing anyone else in? But you have to be aware of those things. Your nervous system regulation, that you need to take control of. You need to be able to regulate yourself and your emotions. You need to set up boundaries. Big one. And you have to do the inner work and be consistent about it. So this isn't about perfection, right? No one's perfect. And you're going to have areas that you're continuously working on during these times. So maybe you are self-aware that you have, a trigger. But that doesn't mean that it's healed, right? But you're working on it. You're doing the journaling, you're doing the inner work, you're in therapy, whatever you need to do to kind of get over that trigger or whatever happened to you in your past that's causing that trigger. You're doing the work during your relationship even to get over it so that you can have that healthy relationship and you can build that dependence on yourself and build that emotional independence. So you don't need to be healed to be loved. You just need to be willing to take ownership of all of these things.
Yes. And if something keeps coming up for you, I think we talked about in triggers and in another episode, it might be something you need to look at a little bit more, right? So for me, I am a pretty self-aware person, and people tell me all the time, which sometimes it's annoying to hear. But I'm really self-aware, and generally I pride myself in that. So most of the time I'm aware of what problems are and I'm working on fixing them. But occasionally there's like a couple topics that I don't quite understand them. Like, I know this is a thing, but I can't figure out how to connect it. Like the law of mirrors, like, took me a minute to like really understand like how to apply it to myself. So with the hyper independence, like, I grew up with that being such a good thing, and like we talked, like a badge of honor, and like it was my shield too, because I could make sure I couldn't fail because I wasn't depending on anybody. So
yeah, you knew the things were going to get done. They were going to get done right. You're doing them. You got it.
Yeah, it took me a long time, and now I'm in the point where I'm working on it, but it took me a long time even to understand why that would be a bad thing. Because I would look at that from so many angles, and I'm like, I don't understand how this could be a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I don't understand.
Yeah, like, I'm not hurting anyone.
Yeah, and I think it's healthiest for me because I'm safe.
Exactly.
And, I would think that should be more attractive to other people. I never understood why it wouldn't. And I don't want to pretend to be something that I'm not. So, like, I kept kind of trying to get it through multiple angles, but it kept coming back to me. And I kept seeing, like, posts about it and stories and the Matthew Hussey thing. And I felt like there's probably something to this that I'm not catching, and that's what I need to, dig into. And eventually it clicked. So if you're seeing something like connect for you more often, don't like push it out immediately. Like, just think about it. Think about if different angles and different ways that this can apply to you. Because sometimes the self-awareness, even that has like limits with things.
Yeah. And hopefully, like, if you're in a relationship and you're going through something like this, you have a patient partner that'll work with you as you're working on yourself. Because if you're not, then that person's going to get tired quickly of the issues that keep coming up and of you being so dependent on them. It gets exhausting. So if hopefully you have a patient person that'll just work on yourself and understand that you're a work in progress, like everyone else.
But you're working
but you're
on
doing it.
So to close out today, remember, the goal isn't not to need anyone. The goal is for you to be the person that you need. When you stop asking others to fill the emotional gaps for you or fill in primary needs that you have, you're going to create relationships that are rooted in choice and not fear or not necessity. So emotional independence isn't going to make you cold. It's actually going to make you safe to love, safe to open up yourself to love, and safe to love someone fully.
It's a great place to be. So if this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone that's learning to love without losing themselves. And please don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review, like it, do all the things. And remember, healthy love begins with emotional self-trust. Our next episode will be on updates, our goals and visions for 2026, and just catching up, seeing what's new in our lives. And until next time, your life, your rules, stay limitless.